My boyfriend has lost his memory. He has forgotten that he is attracted to men and has forgotten me. Pursuing him has been the most arduous endeavor of my life, and I have no intention of repeating it. Coincidentally, his mother also hopes that he can return to the original path of his life. I yielded and reverted to being a mere stranger in his life. Yet, as I feigned unfamiliarity while passing by, he suddenly embraced me tightly. My apologies. It is my body's memory that compels me to hold you. 1. Just before sleep, I recalled one of Zhou Jian's shortcomings and noted it down in my memo. Severe procrastination, always waiting until midnight to take a shower. My fingers glided across the screen, and I had already compiled over 20 entries in my attempts to comprehend his flaws. I mused that once I reached 50, I would surely be able to let go of Zhou Jian entirely. Zhou Jian is my boyfriend, a straight man whom I pursued for a long time before finally winning his affection. He has lost his memory, forgetting that he is gay and even my existence, with little hope of recovery. This revelation struck me like a devastating blow, akin to painstakingly arranging a line of dominoes only to watch them collapse midway, rendering all my efforts futile. We are both distinct personalities who have harmonized over time, compromising and altering ourselves to fit one another. Just as our lives began to blossom into a harmonious existence, the progress bar suddenly reset to 0. At the time of his accident, I was away on a business trip and returned just in time to see him laughing and joking with a beautiful nurse. By then, I had already learned of his diagnosis and was left contemplating whether he was playing a cruel prank on me. It was only upon witnessing that familiar yet foreign smile that I grasped the harsh reality. Upon noticing me by the door, he scrutinized me with a curious gaze, finally offering a slight nod of acknowledgement. That distant demeanor sent me reeling, leaving me breathless. Zhou Jian's mother steadied me and led me aside. 2 years prior, she had been quite dissatisfied with my influence in her son's life, but eventually, she had yielded out of necessity. Perhaps this accident was a blessing in disguise for her. Indeed, she clasped my hand and implored, "Xiaoji, could you possibly let him go and allow him to return to a normal life?" Erasing our chats, deleting photos together, informing mutual friends, exiting a shared world proved surprisingly simple. 2. Zhou Jian left behind numerous belongings in our little home. I meticulously packed them up and returned them to his family, confirming with his mother that Zhou Jian was not home. To my surprise, I encountered him just as I was leaving. As the elevator doors opened, he shook his car keys and met my gaze, exclaiming, "Ah, it's you," he said, stepping aside. "Are you here to see me? I'm fine now. Thank you for coming." I quickly composed my expression and stepped out of the elevator. "Yes, I heard from Auntie." Zhou Jian hesitated, appearing somewhat embarrassed.
I'm sorry.
"I've lost several years of memory, so I don't quite remember who you are. You came to the hospital and home to see me, which means our relationship must have been quite good. Were we colleagues?" Though I had braced myself for this moment, his words still pierced my heart, stirring a profound ache within me. I forced down the tumult of emotions, striving for a steady voice. "Yes, we were in the same project team. My name is Fang Ji. When you return to work, I can help you reacquaint yourself with the tasks." Zhou Jian's expression softened, revealing a grateful smile. "Thank you. Would you like to come upstairs for a bit?" I could detect the politeness in his invitation. When we had first started dating, Zhou Jian had brought me home. I lingered downstairs, clutching a pillar, hesitant to ascend. He had simply scooped me up onto his shoulder and carried me into the elevator, cornering me in a way that left me no escape. He had laughed reassuringly, saying, "Don't worry, my mom doesn't hit. If it comes to that, I'll carry you away." I glanced at the Zhou Jian before me, now wearing a distant smile, and lowered my eyes. "No, it's fine. See you at the office." Back in my car, I opened my memo, my fingers trembling as I jotted down another entry. "Deteriorating taste. The cologne he chose smells dreadful." I had nearly reached 30 entries, surpassing the halfway mark of my anticipated list. Yet, no matter how many flaws I could attribute to him, they could not diminish his significance in my heart. I leaned back against the seat with a sigh, when suddenly there was a knock on my window. It was Zhou Jian again. I pressed the button to lower the glass, and he leaned in to meet my gaze. "I might be overstepping, but are you truly feeling okay? I noticed you looked a bit unwell earlier." I rubbed my face. "I'm fine, perhaps just a bit tired. Should I call a driver for you? I was distracted while driving and had the accident. It's better to be cautious." No one knew what he had intended to do that day. In the days leading up to the incident, I had sensed he was concealing something from me, but I was never one to pry. Now, with him having forgotten everything, I could no longer uncover the truth. "Thank you," I replied. After receiving his gratitude so many times over the past few days, I finally managed to reciprocate. "But don't worry, I value my life. I'll be careful while driving." 3. I didn't tell him that we were not merely colleagues but had also been university roommates for a year. During our senior year, I fell ill and took a leave of absence, repeating a year, and upon returning to campus, I was assigned to Zhou Jian's dormitory. Initially, I thought that during our last year, most people would be either interning or preparing for exams, leaving little room for interactions. Yet Zhou Jian boldly entered my life. Being mindful of my recovery, he brought me meals, retrieved materials from the counselor, accompanied me for checkups, and even stood guard while I bathed, concerned that I might faint. He would say, "Good brothers do this, it's only right." In the past, I would never have pursued a straight man. However, having walked the fine line between life and death, I felt no need to restrain myself. I wanted to be in a relationship with the person I loved. If he was straight, I would bend him. I intended to live in the moment. I pursued him for over 6 months, but by graduation, I had not succeeded. On the day of our departure from school, I placed an offer from the same company and a ticket home before him, asking him to choose one. He glanced at it and said, "Stop chasing so hard." At his words, my heart sank completely, and I grabbed my suitcase, ready to leave. He seized my wrist and pulled me back. I fell onto his lap, and before I could react, he held the back of my neck and kissed me deeply. "Can't you just kiss me directly?" Zhou Jian returned to work half a month later. The leadership assigned him a colleague to help him reacquaint himself with his duties. Amidst a flurry of polite inquiries, he cast a bewildered look in my direction. I sat on the periphery, taking a sip of water. That day, my casual remarks had been taken to heart. Unsurprisingly, he cornered me in the pantry. "Fangji, why isn't it you?" "I've been a bit busy lately," I said, scooping coffee creamer into my cup to mask my unease. "So the team leader arranged for someone else. They are quite capable and you'll manage well with them." But I asked others, and they said our relationship is not good at all. We hardly spoke. I pondered for a moment and replied sincerely, "They are correct. I tend to be overly compassionate. I even visited the cleaning lady when she sprained her ankle." Zhou Jian fell silent. His gaze dropped to my coffee cup, half filled with white powder. "Don't drink that. It's non-dairy creamer and isn't good for your health." The tone of our conversation momentarily disoriented me, making me believe he had not lost his memory. Zhou Jian had always been strict about my dietary choices, forbidding junk food. Whenever I craved something indulgent, I had to sneak takeout behind his back. I was not adept at hiding my actions and I often got caught. On those occasions, he would keep me up until dawn, under the guise of helping me metabolize quickly. I smiled, brewing a cup right in front of him, and took a large gulp. I simply enjoy this cheap flavor. I noticed his Adam's apple bob as he swallowed back whatever he was about to say. "If there's nothing else, you should return to work." Unsure whether lingering alone with him would lead to unintended confessions, I stepped past him, only to have an arm gently encircle my waist. I blinked slowly, that moment seemingly stretching into eternity. The warmth of his body, separated by 2 layers of clothing, pressed against my back, while his breath, warm and gentle, lingered on the nape of my neck. I froze in place, and Zhou Jian immediately withdrew. He looked down at his hands, bewildered, his handsome face now flushed with embarrassment. "I'm so sorry," he stammered, his voice tinged with anxiety. "I don't know what happened. It just..." How peculiar it was, my mind had forgotten, yet my body retained its own memories. Zhou Jian and I were clandestine lovers in the office. Others merely perceived our relationship as distant and superficial. They were oblivious to the way our fingers intertwined in crowded elevator cabins, how we embraced boldly in the deserted pantry, or how we concealed a kiss behind the mechanical sounds of the printing room. Perhaps we had engaged in such acts so frequently that our bodies had developed a certain instinct. 5. The blank chat interface was soon filled with his apologies. I patiently replied, "It's nothing to worry about. A hug between colleagues is harmless, especially since we are both men." Only then did he calm down. After a while, he inquired, "Is the background of your moments with your girlfriend?" My heart raced. I had set the privacy for my moments but had forgotten to change the background. Fortunately, it was not a photo of a real person, but rather a shadow of 2 figures taken during a walk under streetlights. As we strolled between two lamps, our shadows drew close and then parted repeatedly. I found it somewhat amusing and captured the moment when our shadows were close together. What significance does a shadow being close hold? Zhou Jian remarked. Yet he patiently maintained his position for me to finish taking the photo before turning my face towards him for a kiss. Have the courage to show your real face. I swiftly changed the background. An X. After sending it, I paused and added, on the first day back to work, please focus on your job. The management, however, did not intend for us to work diligently. Zhou Jian had previously secured 2 lucrative deals for them, making him a crucial asset. Thus, he was not discarded when he faced difficulties. Today, a welcome-back dinner was arranged in his honor, and by afternoon, everyone was eagerly anticipating the hotel feast, their minds far from work. Zhou Jian was the star of the dinner, while I sat at the farthest end, watching him navigate the social scene with ease and charm. Zhou Jian had always been well-liked. After he began dating me, he had narrowed his social circle. Now, he seemed to have returned to his comfort zone. I began to ponder whether Zhou Jian might be happier without me. A hollow feeling settled in my chest as I raised my glass and downed its contents, the sharpness igniting my stomach, and only then did I remember I had driven today. The designated driver on the app was becoming increasingly distant, and my colleagues had dispersed. From the corner of my eye, I noticed Zhou Jian finishing his conversation with the boss before pausing and approaching me. I felt a surge of nervousness. I tapped the call button, pretending to be busy and unable to be disturbed. Zhou Jian halted a few meters away, quietly observing me. Huh? What did you say? The voice of the driver was swallowed by the gusty wind, sounding swift and fleeting. I said another platform automatically accepted a closer order. You should cancel this one. I had already waited nearly half an hour. He could have informed me earlier but chose to delay. He seemed unfazed. That's hilarious. If you don't cancel it, just wait. At his words, the alcohol surged within me, and my voice involuntarily elevated. I rudely inquired about his family, only to be met with a disconnection. Just as I considered how to reprimand someone lacking in integrity, my phone was suddenly snatched away. I haven't had a drink. Let me drive. Zhou Jian extended his hand. Give me the keys. 6. Perhaps his expression and suggestion were too natural, preventing me from refusing immediately. The car passed 2 intersections before I realized how inappropriate this was. The traffic light turned red, and the vehicle came to a steady halt before the crosswalk, a long 60 seconds stretching ahead. Zhou Jian's gaze fell upon a pair of figurines resembling block people on the dashboard. Those were custom-made for us last Valentine's Day, somewhat abstract, yet if examined closely, they depicted 2 boys. To avoid diverting his thoughts, I quickly changed the subject. It's really cold today. He turned to me. Is it cold now? As he spoke, he effortlessly adjusted the temperature, only to pause afterward. Strange. I find your car quite comfortable to drive. Damn. I fell silent. The journey continued in silence until we parked in the garage, and I finally exhaled. I contemplated calling a cab for Zhou Jian to send him home, but noticed him repeatedly tapping at his black-screened phone. Fangji, my phone is dead. May I charge it at your place? Oh, it's fine if it's dead. I quickly declined. I'll call a cab for you. I should be the one to drive you back. It's a bit far from here, and with my phone dead, I feel unsafe, he stated, leaving me struggling to find a reason to refuse. At that moment, I regretted not having a charging cable in the car. Since Zhou Jian's incident, I hadn't returned to this home. It had been quite some time. When the elevator doors opened, I unexpectedly met the gaze of my neighbor, who was carrying a bag of trash. His eyes shifted from me to Zhou Jian, revealing a hint of surprise. Hey, long time no see, right? I've been working late and early. It's indeed hard to run into you. I hurriedly interrupted, pushing Zhou Jian into the elevator. I think the trash station is about to close. The neighbor hesitated, wanting to say something but ultimately nodded and left. I silently cried for help. This was the one and only time I could not bring Zhou Jian back. I would have to send him downstairs later, as encountering acquaintances on the way would be problematic. It was my fault. Time and again I softened. I had clearly resolved to draw a line with him, having promised his mother to let him return to a straight life, walking the path he originally belonged to, devoid of my forced interference. By the way, why did you 2 break up? 7. I froze in the act of fetching slippers for Zhou Jian. He leaned against the entrance wall with one hand, removing his shoes with the other, and while it seemed like a casual inquiry, his expression was earnest. Had he scrutinized my surroundings closely, He would have noticed the 2 pairs of shoes I bought for him on the rack, several ties I selected for him atop the cabinet, and the 2 coats hanging in couple colors. I hadn't packed these items to return, fearing they would bring unnecessary trouble, given they bore my personal taste and labels. He lost interest. Zhou Jian appeared genuinely surprised, pondering as if searching for comforting words. Well, she has terrible taste. Sigh, Fang Ji. Just consider the ex who lost interest as dead. The next one will be better. I shot him a glance, curious about his reaction upon realizing that the ex he deemed tasteless was, in fact, me. Yet such words were ultimately inappropriate. Don't speak of him that way. Don't speak of yourself that way. I hadn't intended for Zhou Jian to linger for too long, so I handed him a fast charger. Fang Ji, you're truly a good person, deserving of someone better. His expression was sincere and earnest, and for a moment, I thought I saw the Zhou Jian I first met, just as enthusiastic about building a connection, gradually breaking down my defenses and seeping into my life. I realized this was somewhat perilous. It felt as though we were treading the same path once more. He continued to ramble. I attended a high school reunion recently and noticed many of the girls have become beautiful and are still single. If you're considering dating, I could arrange something for you. I resolved to deliver a shock to this little straight boy, compelling him to sever such thoughts and distance himself from me. That red string may not be able to be tied. Zhou Jian chuckled and waved his hand dismissively. How could that be? You're so exceptional. As long as you want to find someone, you will, without a doubt. Because I am fond of men. His hand lingered in the air, eyes wide with surprise. My ex was also a man. We engaged in all the activities that couples do right here in this room. Ah, you are. Zhou Jian's face unexpectedly flushed, his eyes trembling, his words stammering. Indeed, I am homosexual. I took a step closer to him, observing his instinctive retreat. Are you still going to set me up? Initially, he forced a laugh, but realizing I was not jesting, he dared not meet my gaze any longer. The atmosphere grew exceedingly awkward. Zhou Jian pulled out the charging cable, managing a strained smile. Your quick charge is impressively swift. It's already at 50%. Just enough for me to get home. I nodded. I'll accompany you downstairs. No need. You should rest early. Moments earlier, I had heard the sound of the door next door closing. The neighbor had returned home, ensuring that Zhou Jian would not encounter him. I ceased to insist, folding my arms as I watched Zhou Jian hastily depart. That night, I dreamt of the moment I first revealed my sexual orientation to Zhou Jian. By then, our relationship had blossomed into a close friendship. He regarded me as his best friend, his most steadfast brother. I contemplated the worst-case scenario. He might find me repulsive, sever our ties, avoid me, even make it public across the school. Yet none of that occurred. After a moment of shock, he retreated to the balcony to gather his thoughts for a considerable time. Upon returning, he spoke earnestly. I respect your orientation, but I may not reciprocate your feelings. If you wish for me to remain by your side as good brothers, I will patiently await the day you find affection for someone else. It was in that moment that I resolved to win his heart. When I awoke, dawn was just breaking, and I lay staring at the ceiling, filled with melancholy. The list of shortcomings in my notes had ceased, and I knew it was of no use. To this day, my heart and eyes remain wholly enamored with him. The fervor of love transformed into unrequited affection. He had shifted from my daily companion to an ordinary colleague, and I wondered how long it would take to move on. I did not know. I only knew that the days spent languishing in bittersweet agony were painful. I had slept too little, and the next day, fatigue weighed heavily beneath my eyes. Exiting the HR office, I felt even more drained. Having worked at this company for far too long, the back-and-forth negotiations during discussions had truly taxed my spirit. Just one more month. After a month, bridges would be crossed, and paths would diverge. Yet, a mere minute later, I found myself wavering. A cup of coffee had mysteriously appeared on my desk. I already had the answer in my mind, but I still asked the colleague at the adjacent desk. Zhou Jian ordered it. Everyone in the office has some. The workgroup was indeed filled with expressions of gratitude towards the boss. You've been away from your desk, so I took the liberty of ordering for you. If you dislike it, I'll reorder. I took a sip. The smooth warmth spread across my tongue, alleviating some discomfort. Thank you, it's quite good. After a while, Zhou Jian's message popped up again. Shall we have lunch together? I thought a lot last night and have something I want to discuss with you in person. I straightened up, gazing in Zhou Jian's direction. His shoulders were tense, his expression anxious as he stared at the screen. Given that I wouldn't be here for long, and with only a few days left, I thought nothing could go wrong. So I agreed. Had I known he intended to take me out for a meal, I might have declined. I poked at the halved cherry tomatoes on my plate, the aroma of roasted duck from the neighboring shop assaulting my senses, while the plate before me, an unappetizing medley of whites and greens, was difficult to swallow. Zhou Jian anxiously observed my expression, pulling out the menu to ask, "Shall we order something else?" "No need. Did you think about nothing but bringing me to promote this restaurant all night?" "No, of course not," Zhou Jian hurriedly denied. But after a moment, he began to stammer. "I wanted to apologize. I reacted too strongly last night. I meant no harm. It's all right. I truly don't mind your opinion." Zhou Jian was momentarily taken aback by my blunt indifference, staring blankly for an instant before lowering his head. That statement indeed came off as somewhat callous. However, as someone on the verge of completely exiting his life, he needn't harbor too much fondness for me. This restaurant is quite unappetizing. I took the initiative to settle the bill and exited the restaurant, leaving Zhou Jian feeling even guiltier. "I'm sorry. Let us choose a different place next time." I found myself bewildered by him. Why did he still want another chance? I had initially thought I could manage my feelings, observing from the closest distance as he pursued another kind of happiness. Yet I discovered I was incapable of doing so. Thus I uttered words that might disgust him, driving him away from my side, yet he seemed unwilling to let go. Upon reaching the ground floor of the company, Zhou Jian, who had been silently following me, finally spoke up. "Fang Ji, I actually dreamed about you last night." My eyelids fluttered, an ominous premonition stirring within me. I turned to face him, sensing he had mustered considerable courage to utter those words. "What did you dream about?" Zhou Jian's face suddenly flushed. Not just his face, but his neck and the exposed portion of his chest turned crimson. It seemed far from wholesome. "I don't know why, but I always want to be close to you. Last night I had that kind of dream, so I thought maybe, just maybe, I'm a bit not straight," he confessed. My face remained serene, but my heart roiled in turmoil. My body trembled uncontrollably. Could it be that he was gradually regaining his memories? If so, did that mean we? I raised my gaze, locking onto his cautious eyes. His eyes resembled his mother's so closely. The tumultuous waves within me suddenly stilled. I recalled how his mother had beseeched me with a similarly careful gaze to allow her son to lead a normal life. "So, Fang Ji, can you let me confirm something?" "Confirm what?" Zhou Jian hesitated before he finally spoke. "I want to hug you again, like in the tea room last time." I inhaled deeply, taking a step back. "Don't joke about such matters. It's disrespectful to yourself and to me." The company acted swiftly. I handed in my resignation, and the very next day, an intern was brought on board. My departure was not publicized. My colleagues merely assumed I was busy, hence the hiring of someone to lighten the load. The intern, yet to graduate, bore a naively innocent countenance untouched by the trials of the world. He was sweet-tongued but utterly inept at work. By the end of the day, I found myself cleaning up his mess. With tight deadlines and heavy tasks, I felt as though I needed to tether him to my waist even to use the restroom. As I picked up my teacup, seeking a moment's respite, the intern leaned in, lowering his voice. "Zhigo, I've wanted to ask for a while. Am I a bit annoying? Was this child feeling self-conscious due to my reprimands?" I pondered how to express my dissatisfaction with the company's hiring choices without hurting his dignity. When he continued, his voice laced with grievance. "That guy on the diagonal always looks at me like a fierce deity." The guy on the diagonal was Zhou Jian. At that moment, he was absent from his desk. Indeed, it was just the intern and me still seated, and it was already mealtime. I was thankful for the intern's presence, as it spared me the effort of figuring out how to decline Zhou Jian's lunch invitation. However, he did not invite me today. It appeared that my words from yesterday had weighed heavily, prompting him to withdraw. "Don't worry about him. Are you hungry? Let us go," I began. But before I could finish, a large container of takeout was placed before me. "I saw you all were busy, so I brought this back." Without needing to turn around, I knew who it was. "Intern Xiao," she exclaimed. "Oh, roasted duck, my absolute favorite." Zhou Jian, equally delighted, responded, "The new users downstairs are getting a 20% discount. Hurry though, the line is a bit long." After saying this, he cast a hopeful glance at me, adding, I was rather oblivious yesterday and didn't realize you wanted to eat at this place. The flavors can be quite strong. I'll take it to the tea room and wait for you." The intern gazed up at the sky in despair, glaring at Zhou Jian's retreating figure. "Jigu, is he pursuing you?" I choked on my tea, the liquid forcing its way down my throat. I bent over, coughing violently, nearly expelling my lungs. The intern unbuttoned the top button of my shirt, patting my back to help me regain my breath. After a considerable time, I finally straightened up, intending to thank the child, only to find him standing a distance away, blinking with an expression of someone who had just unearthed a grand secret. All along, it was Zhou Jian who had been wrapping his arms around me. "Jigo, I'll head downstairs first. You two take your time eating." With that, he vanished in a flash. Zhou Jian's hand still rested on my shoulder, and I deftly pulled away, only for him to stubbornly grasp my wrist. "Fangji, I believe I no longer need to confirm my feelings. I truly—" "Zhou Jian," I interrupted, my expression turning cold, my voice hoarse from coughing. "What you're doing is workplace harassment." He feigned ignorance, leaning closer and placing my hand against his chest. The powerful rhythm of his heartbeat reverberated through the fabric, sending shivers down my spine. "This body seems to have a mind of its own, yearning to embrace you," he murmured. I swiftly seized the opportunity to retort. "So, that isn't your true intention, is it? Please control your body and refrain from acting like a base animal." Zhou Jian fervently denied. "No, that's not what I meant. I now realize it's my own desire. I want to hold you, kiss you, and more. Ah, I forgot my work card. Haha, I can't get out of the building." The intern dashed back, snatching his card and retreating without a backward glance. "Haha, I saw nothing. I heard nothing." His cheerful laughter echoed down the corridor. Zhou Jian and I fell into an awkward silence. After a long pause, he spoke hesitantly. "Fangji, you are currently single. May I have the chance to pursue you? What should I do?" My head ached. My heart felt weary. On the 28th day of the countdown, Zhou Jian sent me hundreds of messages, all of which I ignored. On the 27th day, he bought tickets to a performance and invited me to join him. I declined. On the 24th day, during a meeting, he accidentally exposed his browser history while projecting his screen. Zhou Gong's dream interpretation. Why did I dream of being in bed with a man? A male. How to pursue a gay man. Learn these tricks to make a man devoted to you. The most popular types of men currently. The hottest calcium supplements. I swiftly disconnected the cable. On the 15th day, it started to rain heavily as I was leaving work, and I had forgotten my umbrella. I couldn't drive due to restrictions. Zhou Jian pushed the intern aside and moved closer to me, producing a very small umbrella. I remembered the large spare umbrella in his office. It was nothing like the tiny one he held. "What a downpour! Shall we huddle under it together?" I pretended not to hear and plunged into the rain. To my surprise, he followed me. As I dashed into the building entrance, I heard footsteps behind me and turned to find Zhou Jian equally drenched. "Is your umbrella merely for show?" I asked. "I was afraid that if I used the umbrella, you might disappear," he replied. "Zhou Jian, this is quite pointless. You should just go back." Saying this, I averted my gaze from his puppy-like, drenched expression and resolutely walked inside. "Fangji," Zhou Jian stood rooted to the spot, sniffing. "I'm feeling a bit cold, and my head is spinning." I couldn't help but scoff internally. Had his browser taught him about subtlety? Yet, seeing his pale face caused my heart to skip a beat. How could I forget that he was a recent patient recovering from an injury? Without thinking too much, I took him home. "Quickly shower and go back," I urged. Zhou Jian looked at me, equally soaked, with water dripping from his clothes. "You go first." I had no intention of dragging this out. "If you dawdle for another second, I'll throw you out." Zhou Jian immediately darted into the bathroom. I rummaged through the wardrobe, finding his sweatshirt and sweatpants, placing them at the door. Perhaps considering that I was still damp, he showered at an astonishing speed. When he emerged, his complexion was rosy, and he appeared invigorated, completely shedding the frail demeanor he had just moments before. Especially when he noticed the clothes on the floor. He beamed with delight, eagerly putting them on. "Fangji, your clothes are so comfortable. They're not mine." Zhou Jian was momentarily taken aback, but then his expression darkened. "Why are you still keeping your ex's things? Are you that reluctant to part with them?" With that, he gritted his teeth and removed the sweatshirt he had just put on, tossing it aside carelessly. "The aesthetic is mediocre. The color combination is quite tacky. I turned my gaze away, deliberately avoiding the sight of his muscles that bulged with his movements. After such a long hospital stay, he was indeed a bit leaner. Do as you wish. If you catch a cold, it's not my problem. Though I said this, I still raised the temperature by 2 degrees. Just shut the door when you leave. Before he could respond, I closed the bathroom door. The bathroom was filled with steam, and a wave of melancholy washed over me. This felt like the most ordinary of nights. Occasionally, I would urge Zhou Jian to shower quickly so we could snuggle up in bed, watching a carefully selected film. Though we often lost track of the plot halfway through. Zhou Jian's solid muscles, his restless hands, and his fervent kisses had all turned into an unattainable longing, just like this commonplace night. Zhou Jian stood outside the door. No longer my boyfriend. Why are you still here? I asked, though I was hardly surprised to see him still seated on the sofa. I'll leave once the rain lets up a bit. The warm yellow light of the living room cascaded over his smooth skin, and I paused, my hands ceasing their towel-drying motion as I sighed in resignation. I'll find you one of my shirts, but it might be a tad snug. He immediately stood up and followed me into the bedroom. Even as I buried my head in the clothes, I could feel his gaze meticulously scanning the entire room. As I pulled out an oversized knit sweater and stood up to hand it to him, I noticed he was staring intently at the bedside table. I had carelessly left half a box of used items there and had forgotten to put it away. I discreetly obstructed his view. Put it on and head home quickly. Just return it to the company tomorrow. He lowered his gaze, his expression inscrutable. As he took the sweater, our fingertips brushed, and an electric spark shot through the air. I instinctively withdrew my hand, but Zhou Jian suddenly grasped it, gently pulling me forward, his warm breath tickling my eyelashes. Fangji, look at me. Don't spring surprises on me. I twisted my wrist, attempting to break free, but he tightened his grip. I can tell you still have feelings for him. I can do better than he ever could. I'm willing to learn anything. The quickest way to forget a past relationship is to start a new one. Will you give me a chance? Please just look at me. I struggled to maintain my composure, appearing indifferent, unmoved. Yet my body betrayed me. When Zhou Jian gently cradled my face, I thought I should push him away. As he leaned in slowly, I thought I should voice my rejection. When he kissed me with an awkwardness that spoke of inexperience, I believed I should escape this room. Yet I did nothing. All resistance ebbed from my body. My legs grew weak, and I unconsciously clung to his shoulder. It seemed he received some signal, wrapping his arms around my waist and deepening the kiss. No, this was wrong. I had promised his mother not to disturb him any longer. He should be behaving like a proper heterosexual man, considering marriage in a conventional sense. As Zhou Jian led me toward the bed, my phone suddenly rang. It was as if I had awakened from a trance, and I instinctively pushed him away. The desire swirling in Zhou Jian's eyes was all too familiar. He breathed heavily, attempting to disregard it. I once again rejected his advance. The phone. It's yours. After a moment's hesitation, he reluctantly answered. A familiar female voice emerged from the receiver, inquiring why he had stood her up tonight. The warmth within me dissipated instantly. Mom, I've told you I don't like her. Why do you insist on pairing us together? I'm not coming back. Yes, you all can eat without me. It's at my colleague's house. Can't you just leave it be? You know her. She visited my house last time, Fangji. In that instant, my blood seemed to freeze. Zhou Jian frowned, casting a puzzled glance at me before handing me the phone. My mom wants to speak to you. At that moment, I genuinely wished to flee. What had I done? I had just kissed her son, and had the phone call not interrupted, we might have seamlessly progressed to the next step. Just over a month ago, I had promised her that I would withdraw from Zhou Jian's life. Fangji? I nervously looked up to meet Zhou Jian's concerned gaze, reaching out to take the phone. Anxiety, shame, unease, and regret coursed through me. On the other end of the line there was silence. But silence was already a stance, one that instilled fear. I responded to that silence. Auntie, I understand. I will ensure he returns home. After saying this, the call was abruptly ended. I won't go back, I asserted. Zhou Jian attempted to embrace me, but I evaded him. A hint of grievance appeared on his face. Just a moment ago, you didn't refuse me and even responded. Doesn't that mean you have a slight inclination towards me? I shook my head, pushing the phone back into his palm.
I'm sorry.
I simply missed him too much and forgot to push you away. Zhou Jian's expression darkened instantly. The following day, Zhou Jian did not come to work. and I heard he was ill. I had no idea how he returned that day, nor should I concern myself any longer. With less than half a month left before leaving the city, it was perhaps better to see him less. Yet his illness dragged on for a week, causing even our superiors to grow worried. Isn't Xiao Zhou suffering from some aftereffects? Colleague chimed in. I heard it started as a cold, but then he had a persistent high fever, another speculated. Perhaps this fever has cured his amnesia, a different coworker suggested. The cursor slipped away. An intern glanced at me with confusion. What's wrong? Zhigo? Nothing, what were you discussing? Here, he pointed at the screen, lowering his voice to lean closer. Did Zhigu not accept his pursuit? No. Having someone you don't like persistently pursue you can indeed be quite bothersome. Is it bothersome? It was more a bittersweet sensation. Reflecting on the times I had relentlessly pursued Zhou Jian, he had been both resigned and forgiving. Compared to Zhou Jian, I was inherently a flawed character. I was a selfish and self-centered individual, bending people to my will, forcefully binding them to my side for my own desires. It was Zhou Jian's love that taught me not to act on impulse. To love someone is to consider their feelings and, at the right moment, to let go. My colleagues began discussing whether they should visit Zhou Jian, but I refrained from engaging in that conversation and had no plans to join them. After work, I returned home early. Time was running short, and I needed to start packing. As I sorted through the hoodie he had discarded, commenting on its aesthetic, I paused my movements. Ultimately, I pulled out my phone in frustration and reached out to the colleagues who were visiting Zhou Jian. How is Zhou Jian? The response came almost instantaneously. Very bad. Not good at all. My mind went blank, and my breath hitched, my hands trembling uncontrollably. What's wrong? Does he have after effects? Sigh, you'll know once you see him. I paced anxiously in the living room, gripping my phone, sending Zhou Jian 2 messages, but received no reply. Gathering my courage, I attempted a voice call, but no one answered. Panic set in. How dire could his condition be that he couldn't even respond to a phone call? Taking a few deep breaths, I tried to calm my racing heart and dialed Zhou Jian's mother. After hearing my incoherent questions, her response was remarkably calm. There's nothing to worry about, he's fine, you needn't fret. I was taken aback, and when I tried to ask a few more questions, she had already hung up. My mind was in turmoil. How could the accounts differ so drastically? I dialed Zhou Jian again, but still, I could not reach him. Restlessness consumed me. I realized I could wait no longer, grabbing my coat and heading out. Perhaps Zhou Jian's mother was right, but I couldn't take that risk. If something truly happened to Zhou Jian, I would regret it for a lifetime. I hurried to Zhou's home, and coincidentally, I encountered his mother as she was about to leave. Upon seeing me, her expression turned complex. Did I not say?
I'm sorry, Auntie.
I lowered my head. I simply couldn't shake my worries. I had expected her to scold me, but she did not. After a silent moment of mental preparation, I looked up to find her expression a mix of relief and resignation. She handed me the keys. He's in the room. I lacked the energy for further pleasantries, taking the keys and rushing upstairs. All the while, I had sensed something was amiss, but I could not control myself and headed straight for Zhou Jian's room. The room was dimly lit. He lay on his side with his back to me. My heart raced violently in my chest as I barely calmed my erratic breathing. I moved around to the other side, only to see Zhou Jian smiling and winking at me. In that instant, I understood the situation. However, rather than anger, an overwhelming sense of relief washed over me. Thank goodness he was all right. As I made to leave, Zhou Jian quickly threw off the covers, using both hands and feet to pull me onto the bed. The tension that had been coiled within me suddenly relaxed, leaving me somewhat weak. I couldn't resist him. You deceived me. Yes, I heard you were planning to resign, and I thought this was my last chance, so I asked them to say that if you ever inquired. No wonder they had all responded so eagerly. It was I who had let my concern cloud my judgment. Fangji, you clearly like me too. Why did you refuse me? I made a bet with my mom. If you showed up today, she wouldn't interfere in my romantic life anymore. Zhou Jian held me tighter. Fortunately, you came. I was momentarily taken aback. No wonder Zhou Jian's mother had such a complex expression when she saw me earlier. In that daze, a cool, hard sensation brushed against the tip of my left hand, sliding slowly into my fingers. Curled my hand, and Zhou Jian pressed it down to the base of my finger. A ring. Fit perfectly. It was meant to be yours. A few days ago, the jewelry store called to ask why I hadn't picked it up yet. That day, I should have been collecting the ring when the accident happened. The ring felt weightless, yet once on my finger it felt like 1,000 pounds, heavy enough that I could barely lift my hand. When I got the ring, I thought to myself, I must have bought it for you, because the inscription on the custom card reads JZ. Does that mean I had already won you over? The weight of this revelation left me momentarily speechless, instinctively denying it. Z could also stand for Zhou. Zhou Jian paused, gripping my hand tightly. Fang Ji, I'm not foolish. There won't be anyone else but you. Are you angry at me for forgetting you, which is why you refuse to relent? Is that right? I hate myself for this too. How could I possibly forget you? The final words gradually faded into a whisper, as Zhou Jian's fingers gently caressed my cheek, and it was only then that I realized I was in tears. He planted tender kisses down from my damp lashes, reverent and solemn. Fang Ji, let us begin anew. Zhou Jian's memories remained elusive. After I consented to rekindle our relationship, he began to revisit old matters. In our encounters, who typically assumes the dominant position? I blinked, maintaining my composure as I lied. Me. After a moment's hesitation, Zhou Jian dramatically flopped onto the bed, as if embracing fate. Come on. Yet he suddenly changed his mind, clinging to me with feigned tears. Fang Ji, why don't you let me have the upper hand first? I've only mastered the techniques for being on top. Once I learn the ones for below, we can switch, alright? Afterward, he contentedly held me, asking, is your ex better or am I? I forgot to mention that there was no ex at all. However, keeping that to myself seemed to pose no consequence. I transitioned to a new job, no longer needing to conceal our office romance. Each day, we left for work together, returned home in the evening to cook, and nestled in each other's arms while watching half a movie. Thus, we embarked on a second chance at love. The end. Thank you for listening, and until we meet again in our next story.